Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you've been thinking of moving to Toronto, but you're not sure where you want to live in this big, beautiful city, then this video is just for you. Today we're going to look at the 10 best neighborhoods around the downtown core of Toronto. We're going to look at the amenities, we're going to look at the accommodations, we're going to look at what life is really like in these neighborhoods. So grab a popcorn, grab a seat, and let's jump right in. If this is your first time to the channel and you'd like to know everything there is to know about living in Toronto and the surrounding area, then please subscribe below so you can be the first to learn about the current market conditions in Toronto. My name's Philip and I'm with the Toronto Life team. You know, we get calls, texts, and emails every day from people like you, and we absolutely love it. So if you're looking to move in 8 days or 80 days, feel free to send me a text, shoot me an email, or set up a call with me. There's a link in the description. Happy to help you make that smooth move to Toronto. In today's video, I'm going to use Google Maps to highlight the 10 best neighborhoods in downtown Toronto for you. We're going to get a sense of where they're located in relation to the major landmarks and really give you a simplified idea of what the city looks like. So let's jump into my computer and get started. Okay, let's get started with a review of the 10 best neighborhoods in the city of Toronto. So the first neighborhood I want to highlight for us today is the Financial District. Now, if you're moving here for work, chances are your company may have a headquarters in the Financial District because the Financial District is headquarters to a lot of the global multinational firms. So all the big tech firms have offices here, Amazon, Google, all the big banks in Canada have head offices here. And the district is bordered by Queen Street in the north, over here. University in the west, Front Street in the south, and Yonge Street in the east, and it's predominantly full of large commercial office towers. The Toronto Stock Exchange is based in the Financial District, and then kind of in the northeast side over here we have the Eaton Centre, which is a large indoor shopping mall. It is a tourist destination, which means it's open all days of the year, including major statutory holidays. So you can get a lot of the shopping you need done over here in the Eaton Centre. But generally speaking, the Financial District really has everything the best of Toronto has to offer close by. You have the CN Tower right over here. You have the Scotia Bank Arena over here, where the Raptors and the Blue Jays, the Raptors and the Maple Leafs play. So really the best of the city is offered here. You have the 2 subway lines on either side of the district. Kind of the only downside that I can think of for the Financial District is there aren't too many housing options, right? It's predominantly office towers. There are some luxurious condominium buildings, but not a whole lot compared to other parts of the city. So unless you're looking for like a luxury condominium to stay in, you probably won't consider the Financial District. I mean, there's great places to eat, there's fine dining, there's nightlife, there's really everything else other than accommodations to live. So that's one perhaps downside. But outside of the Financial District, we're going to be looking east, we're going to be looking north, and we're going to be looking west for other neighborhoods on our list, because really further south we have the lake, and there's not a lot of houseboat living going on in Toronto here, especially in the winter times. So we're going to focus on these 3 directions. There is, however, one neighborhood we're going to touch on in the south, and that's the next neighborhood we're going to look at, and that would be the Harbourfront. So moving the map a little bit over here, you can see where the Harbourfront sits. It's just south of this highway here. This orange line over here is the Gardiner Expressway. It's the highway that cuts the downtown not in half, but it cuts through the downtown and really is the connection piece for all the suburbs of how people access the Gardiner to get downtown. But the Harbourfront is a really kind of hidden gem, in my opinion, in the city of Toronto, because it is a bit of a quieter neighborhood. It's a lot more low, mid-rise condominiums, especially in the western portion here, which is the older portion. The eastern side is all new buildings. There are some high-rise towers here, as high as 70, 80 floors in some cases, especially these buildings over here. They're called Sugar Wharf. They're quite tall. But generally speaking, it's a quieter part of the city. A lot of people don't come here for too many attractions. Most of the attractions are north of the Gardiner Expressway, north of this big highway. So when you're coming into the city, you will typically take the arteries and go north, right? But you won't be going south. So the Harbourfront is a bit quieter for that reason, and I think it's great because you still have all the attractions within walking distance. You can walk to the CN Tower, you can walk to the Scotiabank Arena, you can walk to nightlife, to the restaurants, to the shops, to everything you need in downtown, but still have a bit more of not much of a hustle and bustle feel when you come home. So if you prefer that, the Harbourfront is definitely a place I would recommend. And then also just south of the Harbourfront, we have the Toronto Islands. Very few people live on the Toronto Islands. It's not a practical solution. Those people have lived here for a very long time and they're not going anywhere. But there are a lot of attractions on the Toronto Islands. There's a huge amusement park called Centerville Island here. Lots of fun things to do for the family. Or if you're going on a date, it definitely is a nice destination. You can go canoeing, kayaking, some small kind of trains. Here's a bit of what it looks like. And all kind of with the CN Tower and the skyline as a backdrop behind you. There's also a few beaches on the island kind of scattered around here. And there are some kind of like festivals that happen on these beaches, music festivals more specifically. And then the last thing I want to mention is Billy Bishop Airport is also on the island over here. This is a small airport with short haul flights to local destinations like New York, Montreal, Ottawa. You won't get out of the country, but if traveling is important for work, you may definitely want to consider being in the Harbourfront or close to it, because having this airport close by is very nice to have, considering our other major airport, or the biggest airport in the country, Pearson, is right over here. It's actually in a different city. It's not even in Toronto. Pearson is located in Mississauga, and to get to Pearson from downtown, if you go down the 427, then across the Gardiner and into downtown. And this drive without traffic is 35 to 40 minutes. With traffic, it could be much more than that. So if flying out for work is something you're going to be doing frequently, you may definitely want to consider being as close to Billy Bishop as possible, because it's just going to make your life a lot easier. All right, so that covers the Harbourfront for us. We're going to go to our next neighborhood, and that's going to be on the east side of Toronto. So just as a side note, the east side of Toronto over here, this is like the older portion of the city. It was first developed, and some of the first buildings were built over here, and the first kind of downtown core is right over here. And then later, when the bigger towers were built for the banks, the financial district moved into where it currently is today. But you get a lot of the old heritage homes, the Victorian homes, the Edwardian homes. They're all centered in the east side of Toronto. But our next neighborhood is in the east side of Toronto, and it's called the Distillery District. This area used to be a spirits distillery for whiskey and spirits back in the 1830s. It was owned by a company called Gotterham & Worts, and it was one of the biggest distilleries in all of North America for quite some time. Then eventually that business closed, and then this area got reimagined into more of a public space with cobblestone streets, red brick houses, and a lot of condominiums were built within the distillery and around it. And now it's a destination in the winter and the summertime. In the wintertime, they host a Christmas market with hot ciders and different stalls and activities for the family. There's some great restaurants here, as well as some nice art galleries as well. And then there's some newer condos that were built in the distillery. You can see one of them over here in the background. That could be an option for living here if you want to be in this type of more touristy type area. You go downstairs, there's a lot of hustle and bustle. There's some great places to grab a coffee, grab a quick bite, but you're still pretty close to the downtown core. Okay, now the next neighborhood is just north of the Distillery District. It's called Corktown. Also more of a heritage neighborhood. It's known for its more Victorian row housing and kind of Edwardian style old houses. in the eastern portion of Corktown is Corktown Common, and this whole area over here was built for the Pan American Games, which were hosted here not so long ago. This used to be the athletes' village. They built out a few mid-rise buildings here to be the athletes' homes, and then after the Pan American Games was finished, this was converted into condominiums, and now it's a place for people to live. And then this area is pretty new compared to Corktown and Distillery, but it's really still quite close to the city. You can be in downtown core within 10 to 15 minutes. And then you have much more of a mid-rise setting, newer buildings, a lot of kind of art installations built throughout the neighborhood. You can see some of them right here. Really a nice place with some great restaurants as well. I actually come down here quite a bit. Whenever I'm in the area, I like to check out this Souk Tabbouleh. It's a nice Middle Eastern restaurant. And right close by is a really good Thai place too called Sukhothai. You can see it over here. And this is really typical of Toronto. You get kind of all the multicultural mixed together. A Thai place right next to a great Middle Eastern place. So if you love food, you will not be disappointed here in Toronto. Okay, so that wraps up Corktown and the Distillery. For our next neighborhood, we're going to go a little bit north, still on the east side of Toronto. We're going to go to Cabbagetown. Cabbagetown is east of Parliament, north of Gerrard, and west of the Don Valley Parkway. So this whole neighborhood is mostly smaller type cottage homes, quite old, some older than 100 years. And they have a lot of character. They used to be kind of the original people that built the city of Toronto, lived in these cottage type homes. You can see some in this picture. They have a lot of charm, a lot of character, and they're in quite high demand here in the city. And it's a great place if you're moving to Toronto with a family. You might want to consider Cabbagetown. Again, it's quite accessible. You have the streetcar that runs right along Gerrard here. You can be downtown pretty quickly. And then also right beside Cabbagetown, you have Riverdale Farm, which is a full kind of farm set right in the city. You have horses, pigs, goats, everything you can imagine. It's a real live working farm. Also, it's more like a zoo petting attraction for the kids. Nice destination to go on the weekends. And then connected to the Riverdale Farm is the Don Valley Ravine and Trail system. So this whole ravine hugs the highway all the way north. If you're into hiking or biking, there are endless trails for you to explore along the Don Valley Ravine. So if you want to be close to a great biking destination, I would recommend anywhere on the east side, so you can quickly jump into the Don Valley Ravine. Okay, so that wraps up Cabbagetown. Let's head to our next neighborhood. Okay, we're wrapped up with the historic east side of downtown Toronto. The next neighborhood we're going to jump to in our top 10 list of best neighborhoods is Yorkville. Yorkville is right over here. It's one of the more affluent neighborhoods on our list. It's bordered by Bloor Street in the south. Here's Bloor Street and Avenue Road in the west, and then kind of Rosedale Valley over here and back over to Avenue Road. Now this neighborhood is quite a lovely neighborhood. The Bloor Street over here has what's known as the Mink Mile. This has all your high-end luxury stores comparable to Fifth Avenue in New York or Rodeo Drive in LA. That would be right over here. And then kind of deeper into Yorkville, you have a lot of nice small restaurants and nightlife establishments and fine dining areas. Another thing to note about Yorkville is Yorkville was home to the first Four Seasons Hotel. The Four Seasons Hotel chain is actually a Toronto-based chain. It first started right over here at the intersection of Cumberland and Avenue. That hotel has now been converted into a condominium building, but the new Four Seasons actually just moved up over here to Yorkville and Bay. This happened a little while ago, not anything recent, but yeah, Yorkville is home to many five-star hotels. The Hazelton Hotel is actually the first five-star in all of Toronto. And it's a great place to hang out and go for a nice night. Let's take a look at what the streets look like here in Yorkville. So this is the typical streetscape, old kind of Victorian looking houses that have been converted into restaurants. This is Hemingway's, really nice bar with some light eats, a great place for a beer to hang out with some friends. And you can see some of the housing options. There are some luxury condos. Here's 2 luxury condos right over here. These are 2 older ones over here. This is a commercial building, but mostly luxury condos would be your option for living here. Some nice shops and restaurants. There's Yorkville Park right over here on the right-hand side. This is a one-way street, place people with nice cars like to drive down quite slow. One more stop I want to show you right here at the corner. This is a brand new building called 24 Karat Gold by Minto. Very nice building. And then right next to it is Sassafras Restaurants. Great little restaurant destination that I've been to for many celebrations. Definitely a nice place to go on a night out, but you can see the cobblestone streets. They've actually started closing them down to traffic. Over here, the street is now closed to traffic most days of the week. And that is a little slice of Yorkville. This is a condominium in the back, and then it has ground floor retail in the front. So heading back on up, we can see the other kind of parts of Yorkville that are interesting is the Royal Ontario Museum is very close by, and it's quite a destination for the neighborhood and for the country as well. It's the biggest museum in the country. It has this really unique modern pattern. This extension was built recently. There is an old component and a new component to it, and it has everything you can imagine in a modern museum. Here's kind of the mix of the old component and the new component, so you can see it kind of blends together quite nicely. Okay, and that kind of concludes Yorkville for us today. Let's move on to our next neighborhood, and that would be the Annex. And the Annex is right next to Yorkville. It's mostly Victorian, Edwardian type homes that you can live in within the Annex. There aren't too many condos, right? The Annex kind of is major street over here is Bloor, which is also a subway line. And on Bloor, there's a lot of really nice restaurants, really nice shops. 2 places that I kind of frequent are Sushi on Bloor. There's a really nice sushi place here. I've been going here for well over 20 years. And then there's a really great ice cream place called Eva's Original that's here on Bloor as well. But a lot of really nice smaller places to sit down and eat. And there's Eva's Original. Mostly the type of homes you see here are these Edwardian Victorian style homes. I'll show you a few of them here on Street View just so you have an idea. Really sought after homes. Everyone is unique. They all have a lot of charm, a lot of character, and yeah, very popular neighborhood. You won't find a lot of condos in the Annex, so it is a little bit tough to get a place here because there's a shortage of housing in the greater city, and Annex is no exception. The main kind of demographic here would be students, intellectuals, professors. We have the University of Toronto, which is within walking distance right over here, and the campus kind of spills north along Spadina. It really cuts through the Annex completely. So you do see a lot of students and professors living in the Annex. The University of Toronto is a huge school. It's really strong in the research department. So yeah, that is an important piece of the Annex as well. Next neighborhood I'm going to touch on is just north of the Annex, and that's Casa Loma. Casa Loma is an old castle that was built quite a while ago, and at the time it was built, it was actually the biggest residence in all of North America. It now is government property. It's now a museum. and you can go for tours there. And during Halloween, they have a kind of Halloween haunt. It's converted into a whole attraction. There's also a really nice steakhouse in here called Blue Blood, which I love to go to. And then some really great older houses all around Casa Loma. This area is definitely a little bit more on the pricier side of what we're considering. These houses are quite large for the most part that you see in this neighborhood. I'll just drop the pin here so you can have a quick look of what these homes look like. Yeah, these are big homes by Toronto standards. And the price points are quite big correspondingly. But if you can live in this neighborhood, it is quite lovely because you have access to everything of the city close by. You can hop in an Uber and really be anywhere within 10 minutes. Not so much subway access, I would say. You have Dupont Station over here, but there's another station here at St. Clair. But right in the middle here, you need a car to get out of Casa Loma for the most part. But it's a great area. I love to visit Casa Loma. I think it's a really nice destination to visit in the city. Okay, let's go to the next neighborhood on our list. And we're going to be going a little bit further, kind of to the west side of town now. The next neighborhood is Little Italy. Little Italy is bordered by Bathurst Street in the east, Dufferin and Dovercourt in the west, but the main kind of heart of Little Italy is along here, along College. This is where all the shops and restaurants are and all the little boutiques, and really what makes this neighborhood something people want to visit. So this place, Cafe Diplomat, is quite the destination. Like whenever there are soccer tournaments, FIFA World Cup is in town, this is the place that everybody hangs out at. This street pretty much closes down and becomes a big party. You can see kind of its European-inspired nature here on the street view. And it's a lot of great shops here. Here you can see a new initiative that happened during COVID. It's called Dine TO. When the city took away part of the vehicle traffic lanes and converted it into patios for all the restaurants here. You can see it more over here. And it kind of really stuck around because it got a lot of traction. A lot of people liked it. Just extends the patio of most of the restaurants and brings it into the street. A lot of them have some more garden type elements like these ones over here. But it's a nice thing to have. I think it's more important to have more pedestrian traffic than vehicle traffic on a street, especially one like this. Little Italy is a nice destination for a good dinner. There's a lot of more kind of lounge type spaces for the nightlife. Not really a club, but more like a small, intimate lounge. The music's not so loud. You can talk to your friends. It's a great alternative to like a full-blown nightclub. And there's a lot of different of these lounges all over the street. You can really kind of hop around from one to another. They're not really coming up here, but you can get a sense of what the street's all about. There's a lot of very unique places. And then in terms of housing accommodations in Little Italy, it's mostly older homes that have been kind of restored and renovated. There are not many condominium buildings. There's maybe a handful that I know of. You can see on the street view here, this is one of the condominium buildings. You can see it's less than 10 floors. This is an older building that's also condominium, but it's mostly houses that are kind of the living options over here in Little Italy. Moving on to our next neighborhood, and this one is one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city where I end up hanging out a lot. It's called Queen West. Queen West is right over here at the intersection of Queen and Ossington. Queen Street's right here, Ossington is right here. Now, Queen West was recently ranked by Vogue magazine as the second most hippest neighborhood in the entire world, which is a pretty big deal here for us here in Toronto. It would beat out Brooklyn and London's Hackney neighborhood, and it really has a lot going on. Like it's a place you want to go for dinner, for drinks after, even for a nightclub. There's some great accommodations. Along Ossington, this whole strip is all really great restaurants. Mama Cas is an amazing Greek place that I love to frequent. Some really authentic Greek food. And then up the street you got Bang Bang Ice Cream, which is an amazing ice cream place. Rain or shine, or winter or summer, this place has a lineup out the street. I don't know how they do it, but it's always in very high demand. They have some very unique ice cream flavors. And the street has a little bit of everything. There's like a Cuban place next to a Vietnamese pho place, next to a Greek place, and they're all really delicious. And then along Queen Street here, another big destination we have is the Drake Hotel. The Drake Hotel has been around for a long time, way before Drake, the singer, became famous. He doesn't own it. It's not affiliated at all. Completely separate entities. Just want to clear that up. So the Drake recently expanded. This portion on the right over here is kind of the new addition. This is the original hotel. Every room is completely individual. They have a lot of kind of eclectic looks to them and very unique vibe going on. Here's some of the rooms. Really a nice place to stay if you're in the area. It also features several really high-end restaurants in the Drake Hotel. There's also a nightclub that opens up at night. So this place can be a brunch destination, an evening destination, daytime destination. There's a lot to do here, all days, all times of the day. So that's kind of the other big draw for Queen West is the Drake Hotel, along with Queen Street over here. There's a lot of really nice places to hang out along Queen Street here. And then lastly in Queen West, we have Trinity Bellwoods Park, which is a good-sized park for downtown Toronto, a place people go with their dogs. In the summer, you can find a lot of people having a beer in this park, which recently became legal. For a long time it was illegal, but people still had beers in this park. Nobody really cared. But it's a beautiful park, nice kind of playgrounds. It gets quite busy in the summertime. It's really full, becomes full of people. Here's the cherry blossoms in the spring, and you get a nice view of the CN Tower in this park. Okay, so that concludes our tour of Queen West. Let's move on to the next neighborhood, and that is King West. Now, I know there's a couple neighborhoods with West in the title. Just wanted to kind of clarify that for a second. So whenever you see something west, it means west of Yonge Street. So Yonge Street's the biggest street here in Toronto. It runs north and south over here. And anything west of Yonge Street is considered either King West or Queen West. If it's east of Yonge Street, there's a King East. There's also Queen East. Just south of Queen West, we have the King West neighborhood. It's a little bit larger than the other neighborhoods we looked at. Kind of starts over here. University heads west. It also has a few different sections to it. We have the section over here in the middle, and then this one over here all the way in the west, and they have different vibes to them. This section over here has a lot of high-rise buildings that were recently built in the last 10 years. I'm talking buildings 50, 60, 40 stories, a lot of them clustered together. So if you're single and you're coming to the city without a family, King West is definitely where you want to be. It's where I first moved when I moved downtown. Had a lot of fun in King West. There's a lot of nightlife, nightclubs, restaurants, supper clubs, you name it, it's all happening in King West. But it can also be quite loud. If you got to wake up Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings, early in the morning, you're going to have a tough time going to sleep because your neighbors may be partying. Something I lived through myself over here in King West. But it's a lot of fun. And if you want something a little bit of a not as tall of a living accommodation and not a huge condo, that's what we have, kind of the central area here, the fashion district of King West. Anywhere west of Spadina has a height restriction, so the builders can't build very tall towers over here. There's a lot more heritage buildings that have been converted into lofts and smaller condos, so we're looking like 15 floors and smaller is what you get over here in the fashion district portion of King West. It also has some great areas to go out, some great restaurants, nightlife, the Thompson Hotel which was used in a lot of movies and TV shows. The Suits was filmed there. Famously, Harvey's condominium is actually in the Thompson Hotel. Thompson Hotel is now the One Hotel, but also still a great destination. It's located right over here at King and Bathurst on Stewart Street. So this could be a great destination if you're looking for something a little bit more mid-rise. Not too many houses here, but more mid-rise with great access to the financial district and all the great things Toronto has to offer. You might want to consider this portion of King West. And then lastly is Liberty Village, right over here in the western portion of King West. Liberty Village was more of a carpet and textile factory. Had many different factories operating out of Liberty Village in the olden days. They've all been long gone, of course, but they've all been converted into more modern living accommodations. Here's a few pictures of some of the older heritage buildings mixed with newer condos. Here's the view from Liberty Village. You can just see a few of the shots here. But this is a great destination for families and singles alike because you have more parks, more kind of family-oriented things to do in this neighborhood, as well as your nightlife and your restaurants. They're all still here as well in King West. So one of my favorite places in town still, even though I've lived here, I still like to visit and kind of enjoy the sights and sounds of King West. All right, that wraps up King West for us, and I believe that wraps up all of the different neighborhoods we had a look at today. So we've gone through 10 neighborhoods. They all have their distinct vibe, their distinct sound, and different living accommodations from homes to condos. So if any of these neighborhoods spoke out to you and you want to take a closer look at them, feel free to book a call with me and we can go dive deeper into them on our call. So there you have it, a brief overview of the 10 best neighborhoods to live in the city of Toronto. There's so much more we can talk about, and there's so many more neighborhoods that we had to leave out. I just tried to distill the best 10 so there's as much value for you guys as possible. But yeah, the city keeps going east, north, and west, and we could really go on for days talking about all the different neighborhoods and all the different kind of lifestyles that you can have here in the city of Toronto. So I hope you found this video useful. If you did want to schedule a time to speak with me or the team, there's a link in the description. We're happy to help you make that smooth move over to Toronto. We'll catch you guys on the next one.